In today's full swing analysis video, of course, we're going to continue with the series where we take a look at whoever has won last week on tour. But if you've been following the channel for even a small length of time, you will, of course, remember that we covered Nelly Korda's technique in detail only a few weeks back, having a great season. So just to make the video a little bit different here today, I thought we would put Nelly side by side against Charley Hull. So right here in today's video, we've got two of the very best swings in the women's game. Charley Hull, of course, last weekend's coming up just one shot shy of catching Nelly Korda at the Women's US Open. So I'm going to show you under the microscope why both techniques are just so effective. You're going to notice some similarities and also for sure some differences, and hopefully you enjoy the video and take some gems from the insights shared today to the practice round for your next training session, and hopefully it can help take you to that next level of performance with your own golf game. In terms of similarities, of course, we notice one right before those golf clubs even start to move. You may well have noticed those alignment sticks on the ground, and if you go to any tour event, this is a common sight that you'll see beside any player, regardless of whether it's Nelly or Charley. Usually it'll be an alignment stick, sometimes even if it's just a simple club thrown on the ground from the point of view of maintenance to keep an eye on their alignments and make sure things don't get too out of whack. You don't necessarily have to be perfect with your alignments, but if you're going to take even the smallest, simplest of pieces of information from today's video, this could be one of the most impactful for your own game. If you start to get way off with your alignments, it can have a big influence on the path that your club works on, and for an amateur golfer who typically tends to neglect their alignments, that can become quite destructive. As we get the pair moving into their golf swings here, the first contrast I want to show you is in the early stage of the golf swing here, just as they conclude their takeaways. And we can see, if we look at the structure of the trail arm by this point, we can see Nelly's is that little bit straighter, a little bit more extended with that right arm, as opposed to Charley, who we start to see a little bit of bend with that trail arm. And that is encouraging the club to work a little bit more inside of the hands by this stage here for Charley, as opposed to we are still seeing the club head arc inwards a little bit inside the hands for Nelly, but just not quite as much. One of the drills that Nelly is quite well known for is, and you might have even seen this yourself on social media, is where Nelly will place a second golf ball behind the golf ball that she's striking, somewhere about where that green circle I've sketched in is, and the goal will be in the takeaway to simply knock that straight back. So again, that will certainly be influencing what you see here in the trail arm and the depth of the club head by this early stage of the swing. As we continue to play things all the way on up to the top of the backswing, if you're looking for some similarities, you can spot that both players do a nice job of having the lead arm work across the body to the point where it covers the trail shoulder, like so. And in terms of some differences that you can spot, the first one that I would take note of is that of the rate at how much the trail knee has lost flex as they've both worked their way to the top of the backswing. You can see that Charley's right knee has stayed a little bit more bent in comparison to Nelly. If you're someone who struggles to complete a full turn to the top, you may benefit more from trying to copy the leg structure of Nelly here, where that right knee straightens out a little bit. It doesn't lock straight, but it does straighten out a little bit more, which can take pressure off the lower back and make it easier to get the hips turning to complete your backswing. As we take a zoomed in look at the top of the backswing, you can also see some more differences when we look at how the club faces are configured, along with some differences in the lead wrist angles. If we look at Charley Hull here, we can see that there's more extension in that lead wrist, and that's really something that's happening as a result of how she applied her left hand onto the grip at the start. Now, Charley, if you were to view her from a face-on camera view in comparison to Nelly, you would notice that Charley has a stronger lead hand, and as you put your left hand onto the club in a stronger fashion, that's going to build in some extension at the start, and that extension in the lead wrist is simply being transported to the top of the backswing from that stronger left hand grip. That then in turn is causing the club face to point over here, so viewable on the right hand side of the shaft or closed to the shaft. If someone had a weaker left hand grip at the start and then dynamically throughout the swing created this cupping or extension that you're seeing in Charley's lead hand grip at the top of the backswing, that would actually be something that is a club face opener in the swing, and it would cause the club face to droop and hang into a open position, a weak position, viewable on the left hand side of the shaft here. Nelly, again, if you viewed this from a face-on view, you would see has a more neutral left hand grip than Charley does, and that has a role to play in how the left wrist looks at the top of the backswing. We can see it is in turn flatter than where Charley's is at the top, and has, if anything, a hint of bow or flexion, which causes that club face to be more in line with the shaft, slightly close to the shaft. So Nelly's shot shape is a draw, so it makes sense that we see it slightly close to the shaft, but not by a whole ton by the completion of the top of the backswing. Playing things on into the downswing here, the next checkpoints I'd like to show you is the points in which the lead arm gets level to the ground, so position 5, P5 in the golf swing. And from a difference, you can notice that the lead arm is deeper in this position for Charley in comparison to Nelly. Now, both lead arms are still inside that of the stance line for both players, that you can see here. If I sketch in that green line perfectly here, you can see both lead arms inside that of the stance line. Most amateur golfers, particularly those who struggle with a slice, they tend to be very steep, choppy over the top, and it's because that lead arm is unpinning off the body way too quickly, and it would be somewhere over in this kind of territory, certainly where it's outside of the stance line by P5. As both Nelly and Charley fire on into and through impact, you're going to notice a difference in where the shaft exits on the front side of the swing here. So for Nelly, we can see that the shaft comes through just underneath that lead shoulder, as opposed to Charley, where we see it actually just ever so slightly above the left shoulder. This point in the swing of both Nelly and Charley, I think, is going to surprise a lot of people when they see just how long their heads have stayed down and focused on where impact has occurred from. Now, this nicely segues onto perhaps the most important similarity that I can show you between the two golf swings here, when you look at just how long those heads have stayed down into the follow through. And just to hammer home this point that I'm about to highlight, it'll be easier to do so if I bring them back to the start and throw in a really important reference line through their right ear and into their right hip. And the reason why you see their heads stay down for so long into the follow through is that they maintain a very stable inclination to the ground. As we watch them at the top of the backswing, we can see there's been very little deviation off that line. And as they come down into the follow through, particularly in the downswing and into the follow through, you will see a little bit of a fluctuation away from that line, but not a great deal. And if you're an amateur golfer who struggles with inconsistent contact, it's probably, or well, there can be loads of reasons for that, but one of the main reasons tends to be that people come an awful long way away from that green reference line with their right ear. As we play things on, you can see just how long into the follow through both players are before they come any significant distance away from that green reference line, from the right ear to the right hip that we sketched in at address. And again, if you're going to take one thing at all away from this video to practice with the next time you hit the range, it would be, I would recommend that it should be maintaining a stable inclination to the ground nearly for your entire golf swing, definitely until that right arm is level to the ground in the follow through. If you've enjoyed today's video, make sure to hit the thumbs up and the subscribe buttons. It really helps with the growth of the channel, but it also just ensures that you won't miss out on any future content coming from myself here on the channel, of which there's plenty lined up to be released very shortly. For any golfer who has stayed until the end of a lengthy video like this, which is quite detailed, orientated, and very heavy on the educational side of things when it comes to the golf swing, you strike me as someone who is serious about learning and serious about finding ways to improve their own golf. If that is the case, then you can reach out and connect with myself today, regardless of where you are in the world. My name is Seán Marks. I'm a PJ professional and I specialize in teaching the full swing, and I help golfers worldwide through an app called Skillest that I use for my online coaching, help players reach their full potential tee to green. The online program that I run on Skillest that helps people of all ages and all skill levels reach their full potential tee to green is called the Long Game Transformation Program. The minimum commitment for this program for students looking to sign up is that of a 3-month period. Often is the case where students want to continue on long beyond this point because they've seen the value in it, their game has seen the improvements, and they want to continue to push the boundaries and see what's possible. But let's say that you only wanted to sign up for the first 3 months. Here is exactly what I can promise you will learn. You will learn the 3 fundamentals required to completely transform your long game, and that is strike, direction, and distance. The first, in strike, you need the ability to control your low points. Second of all, when we touch on direction, you need to be able to have a predictable curve and a consistent shot shape that you can rely on out on the course. And third is distance. You need to be able to know how to pump enough distance into your game to be competitive at the level of this sport that you desire to play at. This program is designed to give you as much support as you need. There's nothing pre-recorded. Everything is personalized to the individual. There's open communication channels that you can message me whenever you want. Anytime you have a question, you can message me. There's unlimited feedback on the program. And if you're ever in doubt as to whether you're doing a drill correctly or whatever the case may be, you can message me and get feedback within a turnaround time of never any more than 24 hours. If you're ready to start improving today, I will leave a link underneath the video in the description box where you can download Skillist. Alternatively, you can search for it on the App Store and get started on your improvement journey today. If you want in-person coaching with myself in Ireland, I also work with players based in Ireland online, but if you'd like in-person coaching, you can see my booking diary on my website, seanmarksgolf.com. So I look forward to seeing you, whether it's in person or remotely online, very soon.